Hi, and good morning, everyone. It's a lovely morning here in Lancaster. Nice clear skies, autumnal, and a little bit chilly. So, I hope you're all doing really well. I'm super excited about talking about this today because I'm talking about things that really have made a massive influence on my dental career. And I just think that they're really, really important. But I want to go straight back to dental school. So this is me in Sheffield, in England, in in my year in 1992. I qualified in 93. So in this picture, I was 21, and this is me here, totally clueless. I'd gone through my life up until this point, passing all of my exams, thinking that life was you just did some studying and then you could learn it and you could pass, and failure just wasn't an option at all. I didn't figure, and I thought if I passed my um, BDS, my dental degree, then I'd qualify and I'd become a dentist, and it would all be straightforward. I could do my job, earn my money, and there would be no problems. However, I just found it really difficult. Um, I think dentistry, and I found that straight away as soon as I started to treat patients at the dental hospital um, in Sheffield. It was just not easy, and it was not easy for two reasons. I realised that it's technically difficult what we're doing as dentists. We're working in someone's mouth, um, trying to do something that's quite hard to do in conditions that make it difficult too. So technically difficult. And secondly, and this is the massive curveball really for me, was managing patients. And it was this is the I think this is the sort of the tricky thing, and we've got to almost adopt a different personality for each different patient. So that was really difficult. I noticed someone's put their hand up there. If you've got any comments, anyone, and please do that. Any comments or questions, just pop them into the webinar chat box or even the Q&A box. I've got a second screen here. Stick your questions in there or your comments, and we can talk about that through this here. And then the other thing, and so in a nutshell, I thought, I don't really like this. I'm a bit worried about the career that I've chosen. So anyway, I went into practice and I thought that it'd be okay, but I did find there was lots of problems just like this. So, so my patients did experience, big issues. Not only did I find dentures difficult, but also prosthodontics, getting bridges and crowns to work properly. And I thought that that was the future really for me, was to really go down the fixed prosthodontic route, do more fixed work, do implants and that type of thing. So I was in general practice in the 1990s, and I heard Michael Wise speak. And Michael Wise at the time in Britain was probably the best known uh, dentist, really, and really high quality dentist. And it was absolutely fantastic to do this. So it's great. So hi, Ian from Denmark, Ian Pedersen. It's lovely to hear from you. So. Yeah, so this was in London in 1995, and he was a brilliant clinician. And I went and did his course, and it really invested a lot of time doing this, and it was wonderful. And one of the massive game-changing things about meeting Michael Wise in London was that he had an on-site dental technician in in the practice itself. And I could see how they worked together and the type of work that they did, which was really predictable, really high quality. It was amazing. And I thought, gosh, this is it. That was a game changer for me. And I knew that really to truly be able to do the work I wanted to do, um, it was to find a great technician and work with them. You know, also, Mike had written this superb book here, which was called Failure in the Restored Dentition and Management and Treatment of Patients who've had extensive restorative treatment, which is amazing, highly technical. And the thing that I really took away from this was this really doing great consent for the patients, really good consent letters. And if you're interested at all in looking at my letters that I write to my patients, please just have a look at the resources section on my website. It's full of information there. But if you scroll down through that, you'll find various consent letters for different types of patient. And I think it's really important that the patients understand the limitations of the treatment and their role in making things really work really well too. The other thing that I found fantastic with Mike Wise, which I have done ever since too, is to do a really well-structured treatment planning card for each patient. And this really helps me with keeping on track with the patients, working out exactly what I need to do for them at each different visit, how long I need to spend for each patient for each visit, and also the fee that I'll be charging. Pop that in that column there too. And also time gaps in between, how long it takes Rowan or a technician to actually make the work, and also what I need from the technician at each one of those. So this is how I plan my patients, and I've done that ever since I started the referral practice. And it's basically I've taken that from Michael Wise's book, and it was a great. It's been really helpful for keeping me on track and also keeping the finances coming in properly with the practice too. So let's go back to the 1990s. I was in practice in Edinburgh at the time. I'd spent 6 years in practice and I'd done Michael Wise's course, but I still was finding problems with my patients, and it still wasn't working out for me. And for instance, I saw a patient called Mrs. Kennedy who was very similar to, President Kennedy's wife, a tall, elegant woman. And I can remember treating her, and she was like, this is the last straw of patients um, that I treated up there. And she had a two-part denture like this. It was in two sections. And she persuaded me to make a new one because the old one was quite worn. So I made her a new one. And I'd never made one before. And really stupidly, rather than the bolt going up like that, this little thing to help hold it in, the bolt came across and sat in this front tooth. And it really looked terrible. But I didn't really concentrate on that. Um, at the time, I didn't really notice that. So, and she walked out of the surgery with this in place, and then I got my next patient in, and it was a child. I can remember it, just working on the patient. And about 5 minutes later, the door opened, and she stormed in and said, "What have you done? You call yourself a dentist?" And I just stupidly made this partial denture with this bolt hanging down there. So I knew there was a real problem. And so I decided to do a master's in Manchester, which is another game-changing thing. So I can see Sean said hello from Canada. Sean Dunn, it's wonderful to hear from you, Sean. It's ages since I last saw you, but I remember you coming on the complete denture course. It was wonderful. So, so anyway, I knew I needed to learn more about this. So I went back and did further training with Fraser McCord in Manchester, which was a terrific thing. And he had a great love of dentures, and I really hated them. I really struggled with them, but he loved them, and that really started to rub off on me. He did have an old-fashioned teaching method, though. He was really strict, and this is what he said about the quality of my work 2 weeks into seeing me. Um, and he said this in front of all the other postgraduates, which is super embarrassing and really made me cross at the time, but it really got me going in terms of and this is what really Fraser meant. He said, you know, Finn, you just really need more training and practice because this sort of thing is not easy. Um, so I got my head into the textbooks. So this was a massive game changer for me, and I loved it. This year of doing this was just a wonderful thing. Doing this. So, but another big game-changing thing was I met Rowan at the dental hospital there too. So, and and I got on really well with him. And I think the key to finding a great technician it's really like a marriage. It's like finding your marriage partner. And um, I really got on really well with Rowan. His work looked great and it fitted. And I think that's the most important thing. It fitted. You know, the quality of it was excellent. So I've worked with Rowan ever since 99, and it's just been a terrific thing. We don't always get on, you know, just like in a marriage, we fall out and or get grumpy with each other, but at the end of the day we're working towards the same sort of thing. So, my advice to younger dentists and throughout the world is try and find a technician that's local to you and who's a similar age to you, and then you can grow together and learn together too. So I went off and went to Liverpool Dental Hospital after doing my master's in Manchester, and I did my specialist training here, which is great experience with implants and that type of thing. And then just over 17 years ago, Rowan and I set up the practice in Garstang, which is just north of Manchester in the northwest of England. And this is the type of work that we were doing back then. Here, this is an example of a set of complete dentures that we were doing about 17 years ago. And this woman is called Mary. And they're pretty good quality, you know, good occlusion, good fit, and but really quite boring in terms of the aesthetics. It looks like a denture. It's a good denture, but it looks like a denture. And this was another game-changing moment for me, was going on this course run by John Besford. Um, and John Besford is probably arguably the best British denture making dentist we've ever had. And it was amazing, eye-opening experience doing his course. I loved it. This was a 3-day course in 2010, and this particular case really stood out for me. It was a wonderful moment seeing this. And this is a patient, John called Naughty Lucy, and this is a set of complete dentures. So these are full dentures. I want to emphasize that. They're full upper and lower dentures, complete dentures with fillings, stains, cracks, darker canines, imbricated teeth, lovely looking gingivae. You could almost get a periodontal probe and just try checking round, those teeth. And that was just a wonderful thing. And when I saw that, I thought, gosh, I didn't realize, and this might sound really stupid, that I didn't realize that dentures could look like real teeth. So this is that case here. And I thought, wow, this is so exciting and really artistic. Now, I know that this type of work is not right for every patient at all by any means, but there are still principles within this that apply to most patients. Setting teeth up so that they're not totally regular just makes them look really real. I went back to the practice and said to Rowan, and took these photos. John Besford let me have these photographs, and I took them straight back to the practice where Rowan was. And I said to him, Rowan, this is where I want to go, is doing this type of work. So we had an opportunity of actually treating Mary again, and we saw her again. And this is Rowan's first go at making fully characterized dentures here. And such a contrast between the straight and the very sort of white regular tombstones to this, with characterizing the teeth with composite, and really just looking at photos. And this really was so much. It was really, really exciting coming back and actually starting to do this. And this was the future. For me. And so I love using photographs to arrange and set the teeth up. And what I've got to do in these circumstances to provide my technician with the right details is to carve a wax rim using that photograph, these dentate pictures. It's great. Um, Thank you. So now the next light bulb moment was also on this course. This was the course that I ran with John Besford here, who is now my mentor. And this is me back in 2010. We all loved this course that John ran. And so we established the Besford Study Club, which has been ongoing since then. So we're in our 14th year and we meet twice a year and it's just wonderful. Denture enthusiasts. So now, when we'd started the Besford Club, John Besford, and also this is Linda Blakely, who's a dentist who works in the south west of England in Devon. Who is a fabulous dentist. They advocated this thing called a Scandinavian denture technique. Just one sec. There's a question here. So Hoshiyar Tahar says, thank you so much. Where can we get this set of teeth? So the teeth, Hoshiyar, that I just showed you before, they are made by this firm called Shotlander here. And it's a British company, and you'll be able to get them from there. If you just go onto the internet, look up Shotlander, that's their teeth. These are called Enigma Life teeth. Thanks very much for that question. So let's go back to this. So I'd heard about this approach to partial dentures called the Scandinavian approach to partial denture design. I'd never heard of it, but they said it was brilliant. And up until this point here, so the first 3 years of me and Rowan working in the practice together, we provided partial dentures using the British approach or British/American teachings, which is really using. I really used this textbook actually here, which is called the McCracken's approach to partial dentures. That's like the sort of standard text that we use in Britain and in the USA. But I found it wasn't really totally adequate. I'd treated patients, 74 patients, and I'd had to review them 5 times, which was just too much. And I knew that the patients weren't totally happy with this. They were spending, quite a good few £1,000s on each partial denture, and they weren't totally happy. So very quickly, we in the Besford Club, we invited Charlotte Stillwell, she's president of the ITI at the moment, but she's based in London. She's Danish from Copenhagen, and she was trained with Bent Erval, who was a Swedish prosthodontist based in Copenhagen who taught pros there. Now, I did a course with Charlotte back in 2011, and she brought the Scandinavian style teachings to London, to England. So I did this course with her, and it was amazing and totally transformed the way that I did my partial dentures. And it's a, and this is a really important paper here by Bengt Zerval, which um, describes that approach. You can actually get that paper from my resources on my website. But the principle was to really utilize the teeth fully, rather like resin bonded bridges, and get maximum support on the teeth. And also, secondly, to keep all of the components of the partial denture away from the gingival margins. So all nice and open. So, for instance, like plate designs, like I was taught to use, were a no-no. But utilizing the teeth maximum, big chunky connectors. And I found this fantastic. So I went straight back to practice and put this into action. And this is one of my very early cases here of Ken, where you can see it's a bilateral free end saddle, bilateral distal extension base, partial denture, totally solid. It's not moving anywhere. And I treated Ken well over 10 years ago. And sadly, he's passed away, but I just made this one denture for him, and we were able to add to it. And it's just a superb thing. It was great. So this was a massive game changer for me, was switching to the Scandinavian approach. So from then on, from 2011 till now, I've treated 327 cases, and my average numbers of reviews now, when I look back and audit those cases, is 1.5, which is a massive difference between 5 using the Anglo-American teachings that I had before. So doing this in a nutshell, doing the investing and going on this course and learning about this technique has saved me 302 hours. If I'd have continued doing my British teachings, then I would have lost 302 hours. So it saved me 302 hours. In total clinical days, 43 days have been saved. And I've been able to treat more patients. So if I was doing partial dentures, I would have been able to see 40 more, to actually treat 40 more patients with partial dentures. And if we go back, so this is really, I've got happier patients, I'm happier, but also the bottom line, money, it's actually generated within my specialist practice an additional £250,000, which is absolutely fantastic. So, and I think this is the beauty about investing in training and courses. You can really you put it back into practice. It really comes in, particularly if I put it into practice, it really works beautifully. I do want to just quickly share another light bulb moment now with you, which is this is a little bit hard to talk about because it always makes me feel a little bit sort of sad, really. I only do dentures now. I don't do any sort of fixed prosthodontic work. When I did start the practice, though, I did both fixed and removable. I'm a prosthodontist. Um, but I treated this chap here. He was a bruxist, Bernard the bruxist, and it actually was such a hard case. It almost stopped me from doing dentistry. And this is back in 2013. This is Mr. Bernard here with his implant supported restorations. This is how he presented. He's got a full restoration at the top there. We've got ceramic down at the bottom here. And this is how he looked on arrival. And he's got at the top here a hybrid acrylic based bridge there. And in the lower, we've got ceramic teeth there. He didn't like the look of this. It was chipping. So number one, he didn't like the look of it, and he wanted porcelain on the top there. They were the main things. And he was not keen about how it collected food and things underneath as well. So I thought, oh, look at this. We can definitely do something about this. So I thought, let's have a go. I'd heard about this, which is a bridge designed by an American Californian prosthodontist called Peter Worley. And a dental technician in Britain had showed me this technique. And it's if you have a bruxist patient, you can make a beam, a bar that fits onto the implants, and on top of that bar are ceramic teeth, basically porcelain bonded to metal crowns that fit on the top there. So I thought this is the solution, particularly to someone who's a real bruxist and massive masseters. So anyway, this was absolutely stupid. And it was stupid for three reasons. Number one, it's trying something new on a really tricky case, a difficult case, is often a recipe for a disaster. Number two, second thing is because Rowan, my normal technician, is a pros technician, he didn't do crown and bridge. So I was using a different technician that I'm not familiar to work with. So that's number two. And number three, this patient had sued three previous dentists. So, and so it was just really a daft thing to do. But anyway, I thought it's hubris, isn't it? I just thought we'd be able to fix it. So this is my first attempt at managing this patient here. And so it didn't work. And you can see it chipping here. And also the patient did not like it because that's lower than this. And the aesthetics on this side didn't match that side there. So I had a second go. And I thought we'd cracked it with this one. But the issue was the second bridge that we made was slightly smaller in arch form width than the first, and this patient kept chewing his tongue and really chewing it to bits, and it was very sore. And secondly, you just couldn't clean under this flange. This is a problem with all on six and all on four type of approaches, having a flange there that's high enough that's not going to be visible, but also can be cleanable, which is a massive problem with these sorts of things. I thought we'd done it. Anyway, sadly, that was not the case. Anyway, by this stage, the Shotland Enigma Life teeth, which Hoshyar, you've asked about, these are the teeth here that look like ceramic. These are denture teeth. That's a false tooth. That's a false tooth, and that's the natural canine. So they look beautiful and match natural teeth. So I thought, let's use these. But these are denture teeth, by the way. So this is my third go here. And the good thing about this was that Rowan was able to do this. So I was able to use my normal technician, my pros technician, to make this. And because these were denture teeth on a screw-in bridge, we did two uppers for this patient, for Bernard. So we did two for him. Anyway, sadly, he went away and looked it up on the internet and found that these teeth, these Shotlander Enigma teeth, were quite cheap actually, and about £20, I think, 20 British pounds per card. And he got back to me. He also had another problem with chewing his tongue with this, with what we'd done. So there were some issues. He said, look, you've provided me with plastic teeth. I wanted porcelain. I want you to give me them. And by this stage, this was like 18 months, almost 2 years of treatment. I couldn't bear to see him again. And it was just I just felt completely defeated and felt bullied um, and just not in a good place. So I consulted with my defence firm and they refunded him completely the money that he'd paid. But in total, um, and doing these sorts of cases, these big cases that take a lot of time, having to redo them, it does cost a lot of money. And so it probably cost the practice about 100, I think I calculated about £120,000 in lost revenue, which, which is a massive deal. So anyway, the light bulb moment about this was that Rachel, my wife, and I was really struggling this time with work and hated it, really hated my job and didn't want to go in. She said, Finn, why don't you consult with a clinical psychologist to help with work-related stress? Because dentistry is stressful. There's no doubt about it. It's difficult managing these patients. And John really, really helped me. And what John in particular helped me with was he gave me this book here about mindfulness and meditation. And this was cognitive behavior therapy. So it's understanding that we have negative thoughts that come into our head and we can catastrophize about certain things, but recognizing these negative thoughts and just being open to them, accepting them, and working with them through meditation. So this is a mindfulness CBT approach, and it was a wonderful thing. So if any of you are interested, this is a superb book, and it's actually is evidence-based too. It's got a scientific basis to it, and really, really helped me. Also, John said, why don't you talk about it with in your Bestwood club? You've got a group of peers here. You talk about these problem cases and I found this very, very helpful too. Also, John got me to exercise more and also uh, so exercise, socialize more and do the things that really, as human beings we love doing. So it was wonderful. He's also helping me at the moment, is John, too, because you may not know that Rowan is ill at the moment, sadly, and he's not been working with me for the past 3.5 months, which has been really. He's Rowan will get better, and hopefully he's going to be back working with me early next year. And but I'm really, really missing him. But John has really helped me with this, and I have an alternative at the moment. This is Sam. I'm using Sam Hesketh, and Sam worked with Rowan for 2 years in the practice and was an apprentice with Rowan. And Sam works locally to me, so he is now doing the technical work at the moment. But John's really helped me with this too. So I want to now just share a mega technical light bulb moments that happened to me in 2014 when Carl Fennick, who's a clinical dental technician based here in Britain, came and spoke to the study club about this amazing suction denture technique from Japan, from Dr. Jiro Abe, based in Japan. And this here is, I was at the meeting, this is Carl, and he was showing us this technique I'd never heard about. It was amazing. And he showed us this technique where um, up until this point, I had made lower complete dentures according to traditional British approach, which Fraser McCord taught me. But this was a different one, using the retromolar pad, using different impression techniques to get a denture that actually has physical suction on it. And it totally changed my mind. And so and look at this. This is what happened when I went back to practice. This is David, one of the first cases that I ever did this suction denture technique. Now, this lower denture is not held in by dental implants. It was totally cool. And it was it was just a game changer, this for me completely. So much so that I automatically bought this book. This is Dr. Arbe's book on the actual technique. It's now in a, it's gone through with this edition. There's another edition on here that he's done, and then there's another edition now. I think it's Quintessence. You can just search that up on the internet. Brilliant. But I was so thrilled about this, I decided to go straight to Japan and learn from Dr. Abe himself. So this is me, and Rowan, and we treated some Japanese patients over there. And I know that some of you listening today, like Sean, you've been over there, and it's just wicked. Um, so, and the secret to this was really designing the custom tray used with to these extensions, so fully over the retromolar pad and having this extension for the special tray. If you're really interested in exploring this, then just go to the resources section, please, on my website, and there is a complete denture construction manual. And if you just apply those six things there, then it will massively increase the stability of your complete dentures. It was a total game changer, and it was really all about designing a custom tray to those lines and then doing an impression uh, using different movements and the movements that we use. And it's always good fun doing this in the surgery when I'm doing the impression. And this is directly from Dr. Arbe. There's 5 movements, which are E, oo, licking the upper lip, pushing the tip of the tongue powerfully against the lower front teeth, the strut there, during the setting of the impression. And then number 5, a good, powerful swallow. So it's all these functional movements. It's terrific. I'm just looking at Toby. Hi, Tobe. Hope you are doing really well. Hey, that's a great book, Finn. So interesting. As read a while back and need to get it off the shelf again. Absolutely. That is the Mindfulness CBT book by Mark Williams. It's terrific. Hi, Tobe. Hope you're doing well. So now, another game-changing thing, which I'd really highly recommend, is just looking into Sharon Zacks. Now, Sharon is a dentist. She's based in Melbourne in Australia, and she's an amazing woman. And she's, to my knowledge, she's the only person to do one of these major TED Talks. She's the only dentist to have done a massive, really proper big TED Talk. And this is where she spoke to a few thousand people in Sydney. And I would highly recommend you watching this talk because it's only 80 minutes, but it is a wonderful thing talking about how a lot of patients, a lot of people in the world, and this is really important, this, if we look at studies in the world, 1 in 3 women globally have suffered some form of sexual abuse, and 1 in 6 men globally have suffered some form of sexual abuse. And often that sexual abuse is mouth orientated. And then this can really manifest itself in phobia and also aggression, and if they come to the dentist. And so these patients can be really difficult to treat. And we can label these people as difficult patients. However, they most patients that are acting difficult are actually trauma survivors, and so we've got to bear that in mind. And this is really has helped me because, particularly having a referral practice, I am referred patients that are, yes, technically difficult in terms of what I need to do. And also, on top of that, additionally, they will also have, they'll be difficult to manage as people. And knowing that these people have had traumatic backgrounds really helps me to be more caring and compassionate about them. She is amazing. So I'd highly recommend watching that there. So another little game-changing thing, which I think is amazing, really amazing for my practice, is I do not do this anymore, which is talking to the patient. You can see this, here's Estelle sitting in the dental chair. This is me talking to her. She's got a friend there, but I don't do this type of discussion anymore with the patient in the dental chair because I think that I'm like an authority figure here, the dentist, telling the patient what to do. So this is not how I approach it. And I found this really, really helpful, this technique here. It was dead simple, is when every patient comes into the surgery now, into my clinic, I don't sit them in the chair. Even before treatment now, I sit them down around a little table like this, and we just have a little chat. And it means I can just see how they're getting on, and just do normal social things, and we are on the same level socially, and then they can talk about their teeth. And you know what? Often, if they're coming in for a review or an adjustment to a denture, the patient can just tell me about what problems they're having. And do you know what? I don't feel as personally responsible for it. I don't take it personally as much when we're sitting around the table. I can listen to them. They can criticize that denture, and I can give them space to just talk about it. And it also gives me, importantly, thinking time before I take them over to the chair to look at them too. And I just found this has smoothed so many problems. So this is what I do with all my patients, and I love it now. It's just a joy rather than a stress getting a patient in. So the next thing that I found really, really brilliant is doing these Zoom calls before I actually see the patient. So let's go right back to the beginning. When I have a new patient, what I like to do is to do a Zoom call with them so I can talk, just get a feel for them. They can talk about it. They can show me if they want. They can show me their denture like this. I can take it out. I can do a screenshot. And also, I can record that video. But this is Estelle here talking about her problem. She's got um, implants failing and she's really struggling. So, this is a little recording of Estelle here now.
Nothing fits. And sorry, because I get I get really upset about it all. And that's it, basically. And I just wondered if you could help me.
So,
I don't. I I know about the zygomatic sort of treatment that you can have, which involves an operation and metal in your mouth and all this sort of thing. And because of what I've been through, to be honest, I don't want dentures, but I don't want to go through an operation like that either.
so these patients are often really, really traumatized, and doing this Zoom call really helps me to get to know them. They can really be honest totally with me. Keaton, Ingerbell, thank you for those lovely questions there about these impressions. I will come back to that. I've just noticed them there, but thank you. Um, so, and then the beauty about doing the Zoom call like this, I can share my screen just like I'm doing with you now and show you and show that patient an example of a patient I've treated in the past that's similar to this. So this is Estelle looking closely at another case. And I can say, look, Estelle, this is Linda. She was in the same position as you. She'd had all on for round one that had failed. She'd had all on for round two that had failed. And she had this maxilla, look at this, bombed out completely. And she didn't want to have zygomatics. So we made her a complete denture just to sit over that. And it worked. It worked, but we did need fixative. She still needs some fixative to work, some glue in there. But I can show them these cases like that and say, this is um, Linda before and after, and talk about using photographs, and I can make the teeth look, the replacement teeth look totally natural, even with a cant on that, an occlusal cant there, like that. And then also I can just give them a flavour, an idea of costs as well. So for Estelle, I said, look, probably what we're going to do will be somewhere between 15 and 25,000 pounds. And it just allows the patient to think, yes, I can do that, or no, I don't think you're the right dentist for me just because of these costs. So, and interestingly, Estelle wanted to have the teeth arranged just like Julia Roberts here. So sometimes patients don't want to have their teeth looking like their natural teeth. Um, uh, Estelle's got a longer upper lip, so she does cover more of the gum. But if you look closely at those teeth, they're really similar to Julia Roberts' teeth, and it's really good fun there too. Um, Now, Ketan, you asked, hi Finn, when using these types of custom trays for the suction technique, this is that lower complete denture, what material would you recommend for taking these impressions? Thanks for a great talk. It's great to hear from you, Ketan. So I used the custom tray to start off with. I bored a mold with green stick compound. So doing those 5 movements, licking the lip, push against the straw, swallow. And then I coat the tray with zinc oxide eugenol, Kelly's paste. That's what I love using. However, Ketan, a light-bodied silicone works beautifully as well, or even Imprigum works beautifully too. Um, Ingerbell, good morning, Finlay, UCLan student here. Were those 5 functional movements whilst taking the impression used both upper and lower primary and secondary impressions? So those 5 functional movements, Ingerbell, were just for the secondary impression, for the working impression. The primary impression is done statically. So if you have a look through some of my videos, you'll see that there too. That's great. Thank you for those. And Ian Pedersen, thank you so much for sending your best wishes to Rowan. And I hope Rowan's watching this too. I'm going to give him a call after this. And that's great. So lovely. Now, the next little thing, we're nearly finished now, is the next thing is this is Estelle's. So this is Estelle's lower complete denture. I did use 2 of those implants with locators, but when I'm fitting, and this is standard practice for any type of denture on the fitting surface, when I'm fitting it, this technique was a game changer for me to check sore patches. What I do is I try in the denture to start off with. This is when it's made. I press down firmly on it. If it's sore anywhere, I must adjust it, because if I don't adjust it, it's going to get really sore really quickly. So what I do is I ask the patient to tell me where it hurts. And often on lowers, it's the lingual shelf. And this is what I do. I use a light-bodied silicone impression material, and I coat the fitting surface of that like this. There. This is a light-bodied silicone. I take that to the mouth, press it down right over, and seat it fully, firmly down, and then let it set. And then I take it out, and where it's pressing through and where it's sore, and this is on that lingual section, I use a pen and just colour in the parts that stick out. And then I grind it off, those bits. give it a polish like that, and then take it back to the mouth. Disinfect it first, and then take it back to the mouth, press it down. And that just is amazing for reducing. And since I use that technique, started using it quite a few years ago, it's definitely reduced my post-insertion adjustment. So when they come back for their first review visit, it's reduced the number that I need to do by 50%. It's an absolute game changer. And so it's reduced the number of visits that a patient has to come in, and therefore made my patients happier, I'm happier, and also helped my cash flow, which is so important, with running a business. So that's it for today. The I'm running two courses in November, and these are the last courses I'm running in 2024, and I've just got one space available here. This is a partial denture day. I bring a patient in, you'll see that patient treated. So partial denture day, and also the day after I run an implant supported overdenture day. So there's one space available for that. If you want to do that, just go on the website and you can click on and pay through that, or just send me an email. Next year I'm running different courses. So I run a complete denture course, which is a 2-day masterclass. I run that twice a year. There's one in March, one in October. Bring a patient in, you'll see me treat that patient. And it's very small numbers of people coming to watch this. So you get lots out of it. I've also, for next year, and this is from now on, I'm running my partial denture course over 2 days rather than one day, just because the material is so extensive. Again, it's bringing a patient in. This is Angela that I bring in for this. It's wonderful. I do it in May and November there too. And then I'm running the implant supported overdenture day in June. It's a 1-day masterclass for implant overdentures, and an immediate denture 1-day masterclass the day after too. So that's just purely for immediates. And any of you people that have been on my courses in the past, like Sean and Ian and other people that are watching today, this is a super day. This is a revision course for anyone that has been on my courses in the past, where we can really explore any type of denture, discuss cases treated too. Also, so I also run, I'm very happy to do tailored courses and come and speak anywhere around the world too. And also, if you have done my courses in the past, this is a great thing too. Or if you feel it's just not possible for you to get to England to do these courses, I do run mentoring, online mentoring too, or in person at the practice too. So this is there to help you very much so. Anyway, thanks so much for listening today. My next study club will be in November next month, November 7th, and it's going to be at 7:30 in the evening. British time. We'll be moving to Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, because the clocks change at the end of October. So it'll be 7:30 in the evening. So thank you so much for that. Now I'm just looking through questions here. There's another one here just before I go from Ripped Pal Cyan. Hi Finlay, great lecture, and thank you for always being so enthusiastic and authentic. What brand of light-bodied silicone do you use for the secondary impressions? I've been using medium-bodied silicone. Did DCT resto at Leeds Dental Hospital. Is there any benefits using light-bodied over medium-bodied? Great question. So I'd be looking at using actually I'm wrong. I think using the medium bodied, because I don't use silicones for my complete denture lower impression. I use zinc oxide, but I know that not all of you do zinc oxide. So I'll be using medium bodied Amrit-Pal. I think medium body is better than light. So just continue using that. It's great. And or another good alternative is using Imprigum because that's slightly got more body to it too. That's great. So Ian, thank you for your time and always inspiring speech. Take care and say hi to Rowan and Claire. I will send my very best to Rowan and Claire. So that's brilliant. So that's the other key to another light bulb moment or key is to have a great nurse, Claire. And I've worked with her for 17 years. It's been brilliant too. Again, it's a bit like a marriage too. Anyway, thank you so much, all of you. Um, it's really terrific, and thanks so much for the questions. And see you all next month. Bye for now. Bye bye. Thank you.